What's going on, everyone? Welcome, Rabid here. Now, in my mining dungeon here, while I'm trying to clean up some mess, but I've been kind of busy and sick, we hit 100,000 subscribers. That's awesome. Hit that like button and that subscribe button. But moving forward, what if I told you I found a GPU that can mine Bitcoin better or equivalent than an ASIC? I know, you guys would be like, Rabid, lay off the maple syrup. This is absolutely insane. It is impossible. And guess what? You would be right, because there is no chance in hell a GPU can do that. So what we got here is a magic miner. This was sent to me from ASL Miner, the same company who does have all of the flu miners and everything. So here we have the magic miner, and this is essentially, it's just like a bid axe and all those other things, except it's done with the heatsink and everything to shape like a GPU. So it looks pretty sweet. It has a little screen on top here, but yeah, it looks exactly like a GPU, but this is in fact a Bitcoin SHA-256 algorithm, to be more specific, ASIC miner within it. It's supposed to be about 7 terahash. Now, when it comes to the power consumption, that's to be unknown, as if we look on the back here, this here does say it is using about 200 watts. Now, if we look on the box is telling us about 240 watts. And if we look on the website is telling us about 150 watts. How much power is this freaking thing using? I have no idea. Maybe it uses all three depending on the power mode that's within here. You know, that might be a thing as well. So we're going to open this up and set it up and check it out and see everything there is to know about this crazy looking thing. So, yeah. Now, if you are looking for one of these, because a lot of people love those little solo Bitcoin type of miners, obviously check them links down in the description. Now, the cool thing about this is, unlike having like the bid axes and stuff where they're just kind of sitting up like that, like kind of sitting here, this thing you can place inside like GPU mining rigs. Like here we got that. Load that up, 12 card rig, no problem. 40 card rig, no problem. This will be easier to build out them 50, 60, 70 card rigs. You know, it'll be absolutely insane. Stack up a couple of those 12 card rigs all together for one huge Bitcoin rig, and you know, that'll be a lot of wires. You know, or maybe you could slap this thing into one of these Octa miners, you know, this way and stuff. You could do that. That's definitely a thing. But one thing you do got to keep in mind is, if you're familiar with the BC250s, you're going to need a power cord, which like a normal GPU, you're going to have to plug the power in, but you're also going to need internet into each individual card. Now, they do have Wi-Fi here, so you can skip that part depending on Wi-Fi. I still don't say it's recommended to run Wi-Fi for crypto mining for optimal latency. Internet is a lot better technology than it used to be, but you can still run into issues. So I do like to hardwire everything, and if you do it that way, inside the Octa miner, you would have to individually run internet to every single card. But again, Wi-Fi is an option. So when it does come to scalability, this is obviously a nice choice for those little solo Bitcoin miners. But again, if you start stacking up a whole bunch of these, I'd highly recommend to just get yourself a big Bitcoin miner and send that to hosting. It'll probably save you a lot of money, and you'll be running a lot more efficient. The whole point of home solo Bitcoin lottery miners is that you only have one or two, and you know, they're not very loud, they don't use much power, you don't go spending a fortune on them. But once you start stacking up a whole bunch of them, then you start running into less efficiency, because they're not the most efficient hardware. We will look at the efficiency of this thing obviously once we get it up and running, but I can pretty much guarantee that it's not top notch compared to the big ASICs out there, which are the better miners to use when it comes for hash rate versus power consumption use, especially if you send them off to hosting. So again, I would only recommend one of these, not filling up rigs with these. As cool as that would look, it's a waste of money. Now, it does come with a pretty cool user's manual. The point here, though, is it's blank, so it doesn't have anything in it, but it looks cool, and it has some, you know, QR codes that you can kind of scan to actually get the manual. But this does look pretty sweet. Alright guys, so before we get going, I do have a 1000 watt platinum rated Corsair power supply here. So obviously if you're on a gold rated, you will be using a bit more power. But I don't have anything plugged into the Bitcoin ASIC GPU thingamajigger yet. I just want to see how much power this motherboard is utilizing. And that's going to tell us we're going to have to subtract any power we see off of this just to get an idea. So here we can see 19.3 watts. So that's what we're going to go with. Anything we see out of that, we're going to subtract 19.3, and that should give us the amount of power at the wall that this thing is actually using at platinum level. So also I want to point out that, you know, I don't want to go too long depending what the power looks like, because remember, PCI Express cables and stuff coming out of here are rated for like 150 watts. And if this thing starts pushing 240, 250, I'd much rather melt server power supply cables and not melt Corsair ATX power supply cables. So if I start seeing things get crazy pretty fast, I'm quickly going to hit the power switch. So we might see something burn, we might not. Let's plug things in and see what things look like. All right, guys, I'm hitting the power button. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Power on. And is anything happening? Oh, I think I saw something flash there. Oh, yeah, I got lines and stuff. Things are happening. Things are happening. We got fan spinach. Oh, yeah, our Bitcoin GPU ASIC miner, whatchamacallit, is up and running with things kind of... Guess we got to go this way to read what it says. My light's kind of blocking it. Oh, we got stuff. Look at that. We got a cool display. That's actually a pretty nice display. That's better than 99.9% of the ASICs out there. Oh, we got the Bitcoin price going on right there. That is sweet. That's pretty freaking sweet. We got hash rate going on. Wow, this thing's already hashing. Is it really? 174 watts minus that 19.3. I got to figure that out in a second. Boom. We got Magic Miner ready to roll. It's hashing away. It has a pretty cool dashboard. Looks kind of like the BitAxe OS or one of them. I can't remember what it was, but you know, I do like the way this dashboard is looking. It doesn't matter if they rip down one off or not. We're coming into the pool settings here. What are they defaulted to? Mining via BTC. Nice. You know, that's actually the pool I was going to use. So via BTC is a nice one. What is this? Fallback is lucky.solobtc.org. So this is obviously their own parameters. This is their Bitcoin address. We can check it to see if they're rich or not, but I want to adjust this to my mining parameters, and I'm going to keep it at this. I am going to be utilizing via BTC. Now, if you're actually unfamiliar with via BTC and you want to try them out for yourself, check that link down in the description. But they are a top 3 Bitcoin mining pool. They just found a block 87 minutes ago at the time of recording. That's pretty freaking awesome. They're also the top Litecoin script pool. So that means Dogecoin, Bells coins, all these coins, tons of coins that they merge mine are all right here. If you do have script miners to point to a pool, they got you covered, as well as so many other coins that they do support here. Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, XEC, Alt Litecoin here, ETC, ZEC, Dash, CKP, HNS, and Kaspa. Lots of coins supported, very large pool and a very popular pool here. They also have crazy loan system. I don't know how that works, but as for assets here, you can swap things over, automatic withdrawals, deposit, auto withdrawal settings here, and you can even convert any of your mine coins into Bitcoin or USDT, which is a huge thing when it comes for a lot of people, because some people like to just mine coins and convert it all to Bitcoin. It can easily be done inside of the pool here. So this is pretty big. So again, if you want to try via BTC for yourself, check that link down in the description. And this is what I'm going to be setting up when it does come to Bitcoin. Right now, it's currently in PPLNS mode. I'm actually going to change that to solo mode. They also have a PPS Plus if that's something you prefer. But again, this is just a small little solo home Bitcoin miner. I'm just going to put that in the solo mode and confirm that. That way I will be mining Bitcoin solo. So next up, I'm going to come into my workers here. And I don't have anything yet. I just got to figure out where the heck I am to sign everything up. So mining settings. So here's our stratum. Scroll on down. So just to point out again, dashboard, scroll on down, and here is the stratum where we're going to put everything. So I'm just going to click on this right here. We're going to come into my Magic Miner here, and I'm just going to adjust our stratum host like so. Paste that in. I don't think we need the stratum or anything, so I'm going to remove that. So there we go. Stratum port. Okay, we're going to get rid of this and put in our 3333. So 333. And then we're going to use our Stratum user. So this would be your account and everything. So mine is Rabid Mining. And I'm going to put in, did I spell my name right? I might butcher that. And I'm going to put in my name as BTC GPU. This is my Bitcoin GPU. As for a Stratum password, I'm just going to put X. Fallback pool. I'm just gonna, I'm just gonna leave this as is. Obviously, adjust this so that you put in your own wallet address and things like that. This is just for video purposes here, but this is going to be our main primary pool. So I'm just going to save that. You must restart this device in order for savings to take effect and everything. So restart now. Now it's going to be restarting, and we should start seeing hash rate and stuff at via BTC once it starts rebooting. All right, so it is rebooting here. It's looking like we're getting some hash rate. It went back into the price range here. Now, I don't think it shows the pool you're mining on on the display. We're just going to wait for it to flip back and kind of see what it does. So here it is. This thing starts hashing really, really fast, but I don't see anywhere what pool we're actually on. We see our temps and everything. The power, it's saying 139. How accurate is that? We have no idea. 139. Here we have 177.5. Again, minus that 19.3. I'll just do the math and I'll post it on the screen. So it's only been like 30 seconds and we can see we have one active worker already. So we are detected. If I click on workers, we can see BTC GPU is here. So everything is detected and doing its thing. Now we just got to wait for hash rate and all that other good stuff. But we are in fact now mining solo Bitcoin on via BTC. And we're also doing fractal Bitcoin. So I do believe we're also solo mining fractal Bitcoin while solo mining Bitcoin. Obviously, all any miner really cares about is hitting that Bitcoin block, because that would be absolutely amazing. Dashboard to look at a few things here. We can see our fan speeds, our ASIC frequencies, so our speed of the chips, our voltages and everything. If we come in and go to actual settings, it looks like we can do some overclocking and manual core voltages. That's some fun stuff depending what type of tweaker you are. So because I'm on my ATX power supply and I don't want to melt it or anything, I'm not going to be adjusting these things. It looks like we can go up to about 650 here. And we can obviously set our voltage up. It looks like that's the highest. We're sitting at the highest voltage. So maybe I'll just go up and it should be okay. But you never know. But here, the point here is I'm not going to mess around with it. But you can adjust your frequency higher. And obviously with higher frequency requires more voltages to remain stable. So it doesn't look like we can move our voltages up. So you can probably slowly tweak this up a little bit. And if you're stable, you're stable. And, depending on Silicon Lottery, you might not be. Maybe some of them might not even be able to run at 600. You never know just how bad the silicon is on some of these chips. Hopefully everything runs at least 600 here that are default. But again, you never know. But for the most part, it's a nice dashboard. Things looking good. Uptime 4 minutes, 1 second. Model BGO2. Internet status is through the Ethernet here. Now, let's just take a look here, actually. If we go to network, here's where we will actually do your Wi-Fi stuff. So this is where you would set up your Wi-Fi, is under network here, and then you can run this on this. But because I got it hardwired in, I prefer that method for all of my miners. I tend to never use Wi-Fi ever, but again, you do you and I'll do me. So we are looking like around 6.7 terahash, 6.86. So we should be pretty close to 7 terahash. I haven't quite hit that. Obviously, software or dashboard power is lower than what we're actually using at the wall. Always get your power numbers from the wall. That's what the power company charges you from. They don't charge you based on a dashboard or power consumptions before the power supply and things like that. Make sure you always get your wall power. All right, so now we're just going to compare the efficiency here. So assuming you do get about 7 terahash, subtracting that 19.3 and stuff from currently 178.2, we are about 158.9 watts at the wall. That works out to be an efficiency of 44.05 gigahash per 1 watt of power. Obviously the S23 is doing 90.9, way better. S21 Plus is 60.6, way better. So we're not even in the same category in terms of efficiency with the Bitmain miners. The Flueminer T3 is at 67.64. So again, we're looking for something close to 44 here. So we got the Canaan Q is 63, 57, 54 in high performance mode. It's still not, this is way better than this miner. We got the Mini 3. It looks like the Mini 3 is pretty close. In super mode, it's at 46.13, but still that is more efficient here. 37.92 terahash at 822 watts is 46. And we got one here. The Nano 3S in high performance mode seems to be, it's better than that. It's better than that. So 6.43 terahash at 151 watts. 42.58, so 7 terahash at 158.9 is 44.05. So this miner is slight bit more efficient than the Nano 3S in high performance mode. But you start using medium or low power mode, and then the Nano 3S starts to kick your butt. Now, we probably could get a lot more efficiency out of this if we did some tweaking and underclocked it more and, dropped up voltage and whatever else. We may get a lot better numbers, but just straight out of the box, this is what it's currently looking like. So it's looking like, in theory, the worst one of them all. But again, the Nano 3S in high performance mode is actually a bit less efficient. So that's what the numbers are looking like straight out of the box with no tweaking. I don't want to do too much tweaking here because I could melt something on my ATX power supply, but I may be okay. I'm right at the upper end of that limit here. You can see 158.9 watts. And, you know, PCI Express, you know, they're rated for 150. You can probably get away with 180 or so if you're lucky, but for long term, maybe not. But this is what the numbers are currently looking like for the GPU Bitcoin miner, the Magic Miner. All right, guys, so that pretty much does wrap up this video. This is a nice, sleek, pretty cool design for a solo Bitcoin miner, but obviously this is not a GPU. It is just a normal ASIC with like the PCB and, you know, just the design of a GPU. But it does make it, you know, a lot more compatible with these types of frames and stuff for stacking. But again, like I mentioned, it's not worth the efficiency. It's not really worth, you know, the power costs and everything over a big miner if you start stacking a bunch of these. But I do got to point out, this thing is actually quieter than a GPU with the fans ramped up, because you can't really hear this thing too bad. You hear the odd fan, you hear a fan like a GPU, but like a GPU on medium fans. So it's actually not that bad for noise. It's pretty decent here, looking pretty nice. Now it does look sweet, obviously, but you know, I think after you start stacking them up again, I may be a waste of money. But that doesn't mean, so I know some of you guys out there are crazy. I bet there's someone out there building a 12 by octa rig right now just because they can. If you're rich and money's not an option for you, by all means, do cool things like that. I would do the same thing, but I just feel it'll be a waste of money. But again, if you're looking for one of these guys, links down in the description. Check them out. This is pretty cool here, but again, it's just another typical solo Bitcoin miner. It's more of a nostalgic thing because it looks pretty sweet. But other than that, your odds of finding a block is next to zero, but you always have that chance. Hit that subscribe button, guys. Let me know what you guys think about this thing. I'll see you on the next one. Rabid out.